Hey everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here for Scrapping for Less with another design team project. And for this one, we are using one of those adorable Lawn Fawn stamp sets, and this one's called Caramel Apple. Now there is a matching die set that would go along with this as well. So I'm just going to grab the one image and I'm going to stamp that about 4 times on a piece of white cardstock using my Memento black ink. Now, one of the things that I do love about these little tiny stamp sets is they are so versatile. You have small images, but if you're like me and you collect them, yes, they do go very well together. So you can mix and match, and they're at a great price point. So that's what's even better. So since I use my Memento ink, of course, I'm going to use my alcohol markers. Now, I did leave the coloring in on these. I got carried away with the stamping, you know, stamped 4 of the apples, 4 of the bows. I didn't use any of the bows, but I did use 2 of the apples. So that's what you're going to see here. I do have the entire set of Prismacolors. They are my favorite. They're not as easy to identify blends as the Copics. So I am slowly building my collection of Copics, extremely slowly. So it could take a really long time for me to get the collection of Copics, but I'm doing it little by little. For these 2 colors, I am going to use the tip-to-tip technique. I just feel that they were very different in the 2 shades. So I take my lighter one and I go in, I just touch the darker marker, which then allows me to get a better blend going across my 2 browns. Now, I don't have to do that with my red. I do have enough of colors to get a 3-color blend on those. And the colors that I'm using are in the upper right-hand corner. So, and I'll have them listed in the description as, or on my blog post as well for the colors that I used. So, of course, I'm going to make a red apple, and now I'm going to make a green apple. So, in this case here, you can see the greens very different. Not sure what I was thinking when I chose them, but that's okay. Again, I can just do that tip-to-tip technique. I'm taking the lighter onto the darker one, or the one that I want to blend it with, and you can see I do get a nice blend. Now, I chose to put the caramel up on the top. You can, you know, have it be on the bottom. So I made those bottoms a plate that, that they were sitting on. I think they're cute. It's just a little bit different. It's like we're pouring the caramel on the apples. So they are colored just a little bit differently. And I have my pieces cut out. So I have a 2" by 2" square here. And I used a stitch square die from my stash, and I set up the sentiment in my stamp positioner that says, "You're the caramel apple of my eye." Of course, we are in fall, so vintage photo does come out in full force during the fall. Not that it doesn't make appearances any other time, but very much so in the fall. I went around the sentiment square just to give it a little bit of shading. And I'm going to prop this up using some foam squares. And that is going to be placed on the scalloped rectangle or square that I have there. Now, this is a hand punch that I actually have. And it's a 2.5 inch scalloped square cutout. So again, I'm going to go around the corner with my vintage photo also on my scalloped rectangle. Just to hide some of those white edges on the side, and also again, just to give it some shading. Now, if you notice with the paper that I'm using, it's got a wood grain texture to it. All the papers do. And the reason for that is I am using the paper pad by Lawn Fawn, and it's called Knock on Wood. And I think it's got some really great colors for the fall. It's got the orange, it's got a yellow, it's got 2 shades of brown. And then it's got like a teal, which is this color here, and like a green. And there's large wood grain effects and smaller wood grain effects. So even though you're just looking at that, it is extremely, extremely versatile to use. I'm switching over to my liquid adhesive because of the foam squares that I have there. It would have been, let's face it, annoying to run my tape runner. So I have that set, and now I'm going to set my 2 strips on the bottom and the top of my focal point. And then once they're set, I'm also then going to set the 2 apples in place, and they're going to be towards the bottom, and they're going to be on each side of the part that says "of my eye." I'm going to trim up the edges because I wasn't quite sure how long I wanted those to be. And there's a copy or a look at the paper pad that I used. It is extremely versatile and perfect for the fall. I'm going to use my adhesive, my liquid adhesive again, to set my 2 focal images. And then once they're set, I was going to use my glossy accents, because I do have the highlight from the white gel pen on them. I don't know, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't with my glossy accents, but I am a huge fan of it. But I did dig into my stash for my dark walnut Nouveau drop. And what's great is when it came to that, I was able to get different shades, and I'll be showing you that in a minute. I am going to go around, of course, the edge of my card base as well before I put this on my standard A2 size card base, which of course is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and mine are top folding. I'm going to adhere this panel directly down onto my card base using my liquid adhesive, and it will cover the entire front. Now, since I usually set mine as a top folding, this has now become a side folding. So here's where I'm thinking, and now I'm going to go grab. So if you make the dot, darker with a lot more product, it's going to be darker. Or larger, I should have said. But you can see by just having smaller dots where you're not putting a lot of the product down, you can actually get different shades of brown with that. So I thought that was interesting. Maybe it's a little tip. Maybe it'll help you stretch your Nouveau drops. I mean, there is certainly a collection of them that's out there now. I hope everyone enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those down below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. The products that I used in this video will be listed down below, and of course, the link to Scrapping for Less blog, and also their shop, so that you can look for many other wonderful items that you could just add to your cart. I'm also going to put down there a Facebook page, and it's called Their Show and Share, and I do encourage you to join that group where you can show the creations that you make from the products that you purchase from Scrapping for Less, and they have some wonderful challenges that go on. And one of the challenges was the design of the card that I just created now from a sketch. So I hope you'll join us there. I hope everyone has a great day. And always remember what's most important. Always be creative.